Welcome to Shifting from Grudge to Grit, Grace, and Gratitude. We are so grateful to have Aya from South Africa in our midst today because we usually have an international guest. So it's exciting to have someone homegrown join us here for a change and that is going to be brave and courageous enough to share their story. And welcome, Jamila. Unfortunately, I see my Instagram has disappeared. So we're not going to be live on Instagram today. But yeah, nonetheless, we're still live on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. Welcome.
Thank you, Anissa. Thanks for that warm welcome, and welcome to all of our guests, our listeners, and most particularly to Aya. We're so excited to have you on. It's been, geez, I can't even count the number of weeks it's been since we've had someone who's South African come on. So we really, really do welcome you warm-heartedly, and we can't wait to hear all about your life and about your experiences and all the wonderful things that you are doing.
Thank you very much for the welcome, Anissa. Thank you very much, Jamila. Looking forward to being on this side of the podcast for once.
Yeah, I know. Aya was just sharing with us before we went live that he actually religiously watches this segment, whether it is live or the replay. So humbled by that and so grateful for your support. I appreciate that.
No worries at
So
all.
let me just kick off into those that have joined in. The topic today is from stuck to simultaneous. And how do you start building your career while proving your background is your competitive advantage? We're joined by Aya, who went from 5 years of unemployment to managing three powerful roles at once. I'm not going to name the companies for now. We'll answer that in your bio. I'm going to go straight to your bio. Aya is a performance management specialist at DSK Technologies, co-founder of Propela Health, and founder of FunHouse Digital. We'll tap into what all these companies are shortly, but I'm more intrigued by the journey that it took you to get here. All three are geared towards unlocking human potential and community impact. At DSK, well, we're going to share what it all does briefly. He leads teams and drives operational excellence through analytical expertise and people centered leadership. I like that. As co founder of Propela Health, he's creating employment pathways for nursing professionals across Africa. As founder of FunHouse Digital, he's developing digital skills programs for young people in underserved communities, combining his passion for edtech with gaming to unlock opportunities in rural South Africa. With a master's, here's where it gets interesting. With a master's in how do I say this?
Zoology.
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 Zoology. I think we spelled it incorrectly there. From the University of Port Hare and published research on primate conservation. Aya brings academic rigor to practical solutions, but his real education came through failure, flunking out of medicine at Free State University, hitting rock bottom, and discovering that his scattered background wasn't a liability, it was his superpower. His journey from unemployed and depressed to simultaneously running three ventures is a testament to faith, parental wisdom, mentorship, and the audacity to believe you can pivot at any point. Based in Smithfield, Free State, he divides his time between corporate leadership, entrepreneurship, and community coaching. So, without further ado, Aya, please just kick us off into whichever point you want to start from.
Thank you very much, Anissa. Wow, made me sound like a celebrity there with that bio. The best place to start, I guess, is at the beginning. I guess at the beginning of my self awareness.
Yeah.
Even with that, I was really not self-aware. So I'll take you back to when I was in grade 12 at Cambridge High School in East London. So that's where I was born. That's where I was raised. Um, I'll tell you this much: everything seemed like it was easy. I used to get pretty decent marks for a high schooler, junior school, high school. I didn't feel like I tried much. I didn't really struggle much. I was one of those guys who sneaks into top five here and there. My peak was number one in maths. There was a year I was number one in maths where I felt like, okay, I'm at the top of the world. Then I kind of tapered off a bit, but I was still kind of up there. So at the time, again, being really not self-aware, I thought, this is what life is about. Everything is easy. Everything comes easy. And then I decided I want to be a doctor. If you ask me what made me decide, I can't tell you to this day. But I do believe maybe it was an ego thing. It was, everyone, whoever is smart, surely will be a doctor. You're a doctor, you have, one of these high kind of careers, you get paid pretty decently, you're recognized. So again, maybe age and naivety, I decided, okay, I'm going to go into medicine. Again, because my marks were good, I got into medicine, thinking life is easy. And that's where the first stumbling block that Aya kind of met in his entire life. I did medicine, got into medicine at UOFS in Free State. And long story short, if you do medicine and you fail twice, I don't know if it's like that anymore. If you fail twice, if you fail a third time, you cannot practice medicine anywhere in South Africa. So I got into medicine and I failed twice. There was a year I think I passed, but generally I failed twice, right? And I was on my last chance. And my mom was like, look, you can take the chance, right? But just know that your dream is over if you fail a third time. Or you can come back home and we can recalibrate. At this point in time, I was down in the dumps. I was absolutely depressed. I didn't even know, and when you fail for the first time, I guess it's a normal feeling. I felt like I don't understand what's going on. My life is meaningless. I have no worth on this earth. I feel like I'm a burden. Your mind kind of plays so many tricks on you. I suppose I probably went through depression before it became what it is now, and it's being taken very seriously. But even with that, I always joke with my loved ones that one of the main things I got from UOFS is I met my wife and I was introduced to my church, which is CRC. So actually, a very good reason why I was at UOFS were those two particular things. So in that failure, I didn't know how to process failure. I also believe my parents didn't understand because they used to put a bit of pressure on me, but because I was kind of excelling to a certain extent, it wasn't so bad. So I decided, I'm not going to take the chance now and fail for a third time. Let me go back to East London, recalibrate. When we got to East London, again, through wisdom of my parents, they said, look, try a different course, something completely different and something maybe easier. Back then, I was like, oh, okay, they're trying to distract me with something because they don't want me to sit at home and stay depressed. But now that I look back as an adult, it was just a confidence building thing. And I truly appreciate that they still believed in me to say, no, man, study something else, try something else, take a pivot. So the first pivot was not even by my own choice. It was more my mom and my dad saying, look, try something different. Let's see where your life will take you from there. Then maybe you can revisit the medicine thing. And I believe when they said that, they probably thought in their heads, please don't revisit this medicine thing again. So I did business administration for 9 months at Damelin. My confidence kind of came back a bit slowly in that 9-month course. And then my mom was like, look, I used to study at Fort Hare. I think you should go there. It's a really brilliant university, So I thought, okay, you know what? Again, rather than sit at home and do nothing, I probably won't be able to get a job because I don't really have a qualification. Let me listen to my mom again. But I thought in a very sneaky way that I'm going to study BSc. And then as soon as I'm done with BSc, I'm sneaking back into medicine again. No one is going to be able to stop this. I get to Fort Hare and I love University of Fort Hare. So anything I say, please don't take it as slander. In UOFS, you get the steers, the nice places to sit. The rooms are spacious. There's floor heating. I get to Forte, and they were at the stage where they were renovating. So the reses were pretty old, the beds were rusty. Everyone who's listening from Forte knows this. It's not like that anymore because they actually changed while I was there. But it was sort of like, I can't believe God has placed me in a place like this. You know what I mean? But I get there and I push and I push and I toil. Um, and also when I tell the story, I do like jumping back and forth because there's so many things I forget to say. So in UOFs, when you get to res in Free State, they force you to go to a church. So they're like, you have to go to a church. It doesn't matter what it is. If you don't choose, we're choosing for you. So they, yeah, it was seriously like that. I hope it's not like that anymore. I hope people have choices. So I ended up being one of the ones where they're like, okay, get on the bus. It's Sunday. You're going to CRC. So I went to CRC. It's where the first seed was planted. And back then you go because they're telling you have to go. So you go, you listen here and there, but the seed is being planted. You don't realize it at the time because you're like, oh, I just can't wait to get back home. I didn't even choose the church. But as you're sitting there, the spirit is drinking in what's happening, even if the physical man isn't. So the seed was being planted back then. And then I get to Forte. Now I'm at Forte full time, but because I don't enjoy the surrounding, it's not as premium as I had in my head how all universities should be. I keep going home every weekend. And with me going home, I also discovered that there's a CRC in East London. So I toil with the idea like, oh, okay, well, I may as well just go to this church because I used to go to it, even though I didn't enjoy it in Free State. So every weekend there was a bit of going to CRC. And as I'm working through Forte, now I'm passing in the BSc, and now I'm enjoying the BSc. And I get to my final year, and again, another stumbling block. I fail. So I had enough credits, but my major, I failed one of my majors. So everyone else is going ahead of me again. So again, I'll say as a man, as a Xhosa man, first and foremost, all your peers left you behind at UOFs. Now you're at Forte, and again, everyone is kind of leaving you behind. I'll say that in inverted commas because it's actually not like that. Everyone's leaving you behind. Now I'm a year behind. Oh, I have to repeat the year. And that's when I met some of the first people outside of my family, outside of my loved ones who believed in me. That's Judith Masters and Fabian Janin, who would become my supervisors. So after I failed that one subject and I had to repeat kind of my major, I thought, okay, I'm going to repeat. It's fine. I don't mind repeating. I'll add other subjects just to spice up my life, add some different things. And now I hadn't actually realized that the medicine thing was completely out of my mind because I was like, I want to get the zoology. I want to work with animals. And I believe Judith kind of saw this in me and she said, I understand that you failed. I don't know what compelled her to come to me, to be honest, other than maybe she believed in my potential I didn't even see in myself. So she told me, it's fine. I know that you failed. I'll wait for you for an entire year and then I'll supervise you with your honors. So that was so profound to me that someone would be willing, even through failure, to wait for me for a year to supervise me. And even now, when I look at how academics are set up, a lot of people struggle to find supervisors. My supervisor, through God's grace, waited a year for me. So to me, that was absolutely unbelievable. It was profound. I end up finishing my degree in zoology, and then I do honors with Judith. From there, I kind of learned a lot about zoology and kind of the dreams that she had for me, which was fantastic because she saw potential in me, and she kind of saw me in her line of career, in her legacy, because she had a lot of students that she was supervising, and she saw us as her kids because she didn't have kids of her own. So in every single thing that she tried to teach us, you could tell that she was trying to leave her legacy behind, but it wasn't a thing of like, okay, you have to do the things, you have to continue like everything I'm doing. It was more she was imparting so much knowledge, not only about zoology, about animals, but about life, like life lessons, how to be kind, how to consider people, how to not consider titles, because she was one of the highest rated professors at Forte, but you would never tell it from her demeanor, from the way she treated us, from the way she was actually a mother. She was my second mother, to be honest. So work through honors. Now my confidence is high. I'm not even thinking about medicine anymore. I'm learning a lot about analytical thinking, on top of the soft skills I'm getting from Judith as well. And then even through that, I still have the weekends where I'm like, oh, I don't really enjoy Forte. Now, because they stayed in Hogsback, I used to sometimes stay with them to work on my degree, my postgrad degree. And of course, the other times I used to go back home. I'm a mommy's boy. I'm sure you guys have figured this out from the way I'm speaking. So every weekend, I'm like, I'm going back to see dad. I'm going back to see dad. Nope, I'm going back to see my mom, to tell my mom, yo, the Forte that you sent me to was great for me, the person. I can't believe I was looking at the physical things like rusty beds and no warm water and showers. I gained so much. So she also saw the transformation from me being ungrateful, but yo, why would you send me to this place? To actually, my life has changed from this place, especially from the people that I met there, including my friends, because they used to motivate me as well, even through the failure. So with all of that happening, I still used to go to CRC on the weekends. And eventually there's a time I decided, you know what, I want to take this seriously. And I became a member full time. I can't tell you there was like a burning bush where God spoke to me and it was like, it's time. It was just a real passive thing. Maybe it was after some time. Maybe it was the message of the day. I became a member, full-time member of CRC in East London. So Pastor Steve and Pastor Mariska kind of took me under their wing. The church is still growing. At the time, it was growing, but I think it had a lot of momentum when I joined. And it's got way more momentum now, which is fantastic. So Pastor Steve, Pastor Mariska, and even some of the people that were in the church who were seniors were really friendly. They didn't take me as someone who was like, oh, you used to go to the bigger CRC. They took me as just one of their people, which was absolutely fantastic. So in that, even on the first, I think, month, I decided, okay, I'd like to join something, right? I don't just want to go to the church. I want to join where I can make a difference. And I think that also came from the failure, in that I always felt like I was insignificant in terms of the grander scheme of the world, in terms of making a change. You know, when you're young, you feel like, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to find the cure to whatever, I'm going to change the world. And when you don't get that, you feel like you actually can't make a difference. And as I've grown older, I realized, like, if you can make a difference in your own circle, you are actually denting the world. You're changing destinies. And there may be people's destinies that are tied to your determination, you know. So those are the kind of things I learned in the failure. I learned from church. Then I became a member of the kids' church. So that's like one of the first signs that I saw, like, this is actually my calling. Working with kids, I enjoyed it. The people that I worked with in kids' church have changed my life. Constant prayer for each other, constant support. I was the only male for a good while. So at first it was kind of awkward, and then you kind of grow into it because you realize, again, it's something that Anissa, you mentioned, is that, and Jamila as well, that this was bigger than me. As I was there, I realized that stop thinking about that you're the only male, that it's awkward. This mission that you're on, it's bigger than you. There are kids who need to look up to males who actually go to church and praise the Lord and cry if they want to cry, if they're praising and worshiping, and not feel ashamed about things like that, you know. So that was a fantastic part, absolutely life-changing there when I became part of the kids' church. And then as that had happened, I think COVID had hit. So we were still attending church, maybe virtually sometimes, and then practicing, you know, good practice during COVID to be able to go to church. And even during this time where all of this was happening, even after my honors, I was looking for a job. So I'm going to church a lot. I'm looking for a job. I'm not getting a job for a good like 5 years. So this was between my honors and me kind of being on and off doing my master's, looking for a job. Couldn't find a job for a good 5 years. I used to get small things here and there with Judith, who used to say, okay, you can be my junior lecturer for like a week or so, teach the thing that I was going to teach. And then I'd get kind of remuneration for that. And sometimes I'd be a tutor at the University of Forte, but you can't be a tutor for too long, especially because I think they go by, okay, you're no longer studying here anymore, so we have to pick people who are actually registered as students. So for a good 5 years, I couldn't find a job. And you go through things, especially as a church-going person, where they're like, you seem to be going to church a lot, but you don't have a job. So like, where's your faith? You know, what is your God doing for you? You get things like that. It's really scary that the world is like that, you know, and you feel like you have to prove something to them where actually you don't. As long as your relationship with God is stern and your faith is high, if you believe in God, God doesn't look at what's happening right now in front of you. God can see 6 months from now, 5 years from now, who you're going to become. So all you need to do is kind of stick to the road and stick to the faith, which is what I did. And then during that time after COVID is when I got my first proper job. So as you know, with every job, you have to kind of be an intern, then you're kind of a junior, and then you're kind of middle, and then obviously you grow to be a senior. First job I got was from a friend who started his own company, David Chigundu, DSK, who gave me a senior position off the bat. So this is where I became a performance manager. Back then, it was more operations because it was just me and Vashan, a good friend of mine, also a colleague. We kind of, he hired both of us to kind of steamroll the company. We were managing entry level graduates. So we had to kind of recruit the graduates and then we had to manage them. We had to help with their performance. We had to help with their upskilling. You also have to give career guidance within the company. But because you are human, you can't keep it within the company because you start seeing potential in individuals. These aren't robots. These are human beings.
Yeah.
You can see that they have aspirations. And the great thing about DSK is success to us is if you start with us and you find another job elsewhere, that's success to us. We want you to excel either with us or somewhere else because we take that as a measurement of success to say, fine, even if you had started with us, that you had gotten another job that makes you better is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, like
So I'm going to
you
stop
feel
you
free
there,
to interrupt.
Aya.
Feel free to interrupt. I
I
can.
want to stop you there because there's so much that you've just shared with our audience, and it's such a there's so many golden nuggets of this journey. But I want to extract just a few, and I'm sure Jamila, you've also picked up on a few nuggets. Do you want to go first, Jamila? You're on mute.
Yeah.
I'm just mesmerized listening to you, Aya. And I must say, must mention that the most wonderful people that I've met come from East London. I have so many friends, and it's just so funny that there's one guy in particular who is just the nicest, loveliest person, and he sounds exactly like you, completely like you. But this just, from a character and personality and warm perception, I must say that the most lovely people come from East London, and you do not disappoint either. And I wish that I could just spend this whole hour just listening to your story because it is just so mesmerizing and wonderful to listen to. Um, and just I think what relates with me is that power of these scattered experiences that you have had, because I think that relates to me as well, because it's like you say, society expects you to follow a certain pathway, and if you detour from that, then you immediately deemed as being seen as unsuccessful, or you haven't made it in life or whatever. And I guess society likes or loves linear stories, right? Your story is the complete opposite of that. It's zoology, it's tech, it's health, it's digital education. How did you learn to see your scattered experiences as a competitive advantage instead of a liability for yourself? And what advice would you give for people, especially young people, who feel that actually it's just for people in general, because more so, like, with people who are more seasoned in their life and they've had these scattered experiences like yourself and feel like, oh, I'm just a failure. What advice would you have for people who feel like they've been left behind, like, and feeling left behind because their path wasn't as neatly packaged in this gift box that society expects us to have it in, or not as predictable as anyone else's?
I wish I had a full on 100% answer to your question. Thank you for the question, Jamila. But I do honestly believe you need, I won't call it luck. I will call it the grace of God, in that having the eyes to be able to see things around you, right? So I will call it self awareness. I will call it awareness of the universe. I'll call it awareness of spirits, I mean, human beings, spirits around you, because there are people around you for no good reason at all who believe in you, right?
Mm.
Let's leave family, because the family members, loved ones will always try and push you from where you are. Always try and look at the world in terms of appreciation for the people around you, for the opportunities that you have. And the opportunities that you have is a very tough thing to discern, because uh, sometimes the opportunity will come, you will not even see it as an opportunity, right? Same as when I started kids church. To me, it was just a thing. It was just like, okay, I don't want to just go to church. I want to do something. I want to add something to the world. And maybe that came from a place of lack, from me thinking I always thought I was going to change the world in its entirety. Let me try and do something maybe small here and there. And then you realize the thing that you think is small is actually a life-changing thing for different people. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but try
Yeah.
and look for, even in failure, even when you feel like I'm behind everyone else, try and look for something where you can make a difference, even in your own circle, right? It doesn't have to be academic. It can be literally anything. It doesn't have to be a business idea either. It can literally be anything that you do in your day to day life, or maybe changing your lifestyle to start. Maybe you say, okay, for 1 hour each and every single day, I'm going to make a difference in one person's life. Every idea that comes from that, be it business, academic, whatever, I promise you it'll prosper.
And tell me, Aya, do you feel that you speak about self awareness? And I think that is just one of the most important things that someone can achieve, right? And it is the basis of you progressing in your life, because many of us don't even know what our identity is. And most times we are so caught up in trying to get back onto that conveyor belt so that we fitting into where we ought to be in society's eyes, that we become so overwhelmed with that we forget to take that moment to literally be present, which allows us then to become self aware. And only once we are self aware do we have an identity of who we are, do we then know which direction we want to go in. And you already, you blocking out the external noise. So Anissa, we've spoken about this week after week after week, is that you have to just keep on going internally. And I think that faith comes in there.
Yeah.
And when you're backed with that faith and the support that comes from the people that are within that space of yours, it just propels you to move forward, or it propels you, I think, to have an understanding or to get to that space of calm and presence, to realize what your actual purpose is going forward.
Yes. Anissa,
Yeah,
is there
I
something you'd
mean,
like to add, please?
yeah, I think for me is that I'm intrigued to find out by you, how did you rise above the depression? And even though you weren't necessarily medically categorized in those times, as you say, as depressed, but you were going through a very dark place and in a period, So how did you come into light again and hope and grace? Because your faith back then may not have been as robust as it is today, or as it became later on as you went through the journey. So in the period of darkness and hopelessness, and you feeling like nothing is really working out in your favor, or you do not feel worthy and deserving, simply because you wanted this bigger idea of serving and making an impact. How did you bring yourself to balance? You used the word ego earlier on, moving away from ego and accepting that this period was there to bring you the gifts and opportunities like your wife and your kids. So, what was the one thing? The question is bringing you out of that depression, and how did you recognize it that you were finally now breaking through?
Thank you for the question, and your thoughts, Anissa. So even with the time we had failed medicine, right? For someone who's so used to getting things easy, as soon as you fail, again, I repeat, you feel worthless. You not only do you feel worthless, you feel like you're a heavy burden on the people that have raised you. So my parents, like, oh my word, my parents are paying all these exorbitant university fees, and now I've wasted it. I had a bursary as well, so I felt like, oh my goodness, all this money could have gone to someone who is actually going to save lives in 10 years time, and now it's with me. So, and that feeling is so heavy, you actually start feeling suicidal, like, and the suicidal thoughts are funny because it's your mind playing tricks on you. You feel like it would be much better for me to not be here, right? Everyone's life is going to be better if I'm not here. And then it's weird because it starts attaching itself to your faith, in that, well, God, if it's so difficult on earth, maybe it's better if I'm with you, right? If you believe in Christianity and you believe that after death you go to heaven, you kind of see it as, okay, this is a shortcut. Let me just go to heaven straight away, because right here when I'm on earth, I'm a straight burden. And I won't lie to you, it wasn't a switch. It was a gradual thing for years, where I know for a fact my grandmother used to pray for me. My sister prayed for me a lot. My mother, my dad prayed for me a lot. And my mother is a psychologist. So she probably had a very methodical way of doing it that I didn't even realize, because she used to say certain things like, you're brilliant, man, Mkabane, and that's my clan name. She used to say that, like, you're brilliant. I know you're brilliant. Ignore this medicine thing, man. You're brilliant. You're great for other things. And it wasn't like one day where she bombarded all of this in me. It was also methodical in that I'm going to get this guy to study something else, to build up his confidence, get him out of that hole. Also tell him, like, to start doing things he enjoys, like go play soccer on the weekends, go see your friends. And I was always a friend's guy because I used to have like a PlayStation and all my friends used to visit. So my mom didn't like friends, but because she knew who I was, she tolerated that. Okay, go sit with your friends. Your friends can come over actually on the weekend, whatever it is. So she kind of created that ecosystem that was a gradual get Aya out of this hole, get his confidence back. And the faith thing kind of accelerated and multiplied the healing process, I think, because then when I started removing the ego and started establishing my identity in Christ, then those feelings kind of slowly start shedding away, and that you realize that, like, I'm important, yes, this is failure, but this failure is data, right? It's data to pivot. It's data to, now you've learned how not to do things, maybe try something different. And with, like, you're learning these earthly things, but also your spiritual man is gaining from prayer. You're filling your cup. We always speak about that in CRC, in that you can't fill other people's cups if your cup is empty. So you have to fill your cup spiritually first in order to impart knowledge, in order to impart prayer for other people. It's tough to pray for other people if you yourself are struggling or empty. Of course, you still do it, but you still need to fill your own cup. So I think it was a combination of things. It's not just one thing. It was faith, it was family, it was loved ones, sort of put my mom cocooning me even through failure, and slowly kind of putting me out there to go again, to do different things, to gain confidence. Even today, I'm still kind of learning. So it's not like I'm out of that. And those feelings don't disappear, because they come. Like, oh, do you really feel like you're worth something? And now, because you're stronger, you can be like, of course I'm worth something. Even if it's not to myself, I'm doing something that's changing someone else's life. And that's what I believe life is about. It's about serving. And the word serving to me is the most important word, I think, in my entire vocabulary. So when I started with kids' church, they call it serving in CRC. So I started serving in kids' church. And that servitude, where you are the older person, the more esteemed person, but you are doing things you're lowering your ego to do things for the kids, because you're looking at the long-term future. But I want these kids to prosper. I want this kid to be successful. I want this kid to be safe. I want this kid to move away from negative things. And when you practice that so many times, every Sunday, every Thursday when we practice, or sometimes Saturday, it starts kind of moving into your personal life to say, like in my marriage with my wife, I'm here to serve. Yeah, well, and when you do that so many times, it ends up being automatically reciprocal. Sometimes it hurts when it's not, but you look at it again, this is the bigger picture. I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve my wife. Even the job I'm doing, I'm here to serve the people I'm doing performance management for. And when you look at the world like that, it starts again moving towards gratitude, right? I'm thankful that I have people to serve. I'm thankful that the people I'm serving turns into a salary. I could go on about this for days because I'm absolutely passionate about it.
Oh man. So I understand why you have such a beautiful relationship with mom. And I just want to acknowledge your mom today because uh, the man sitting in front of us is a testament to her value system, her love, her unconditional positive regard. And yes, moms we love our kids regardless if they mess up, regardless if they fail. We don't see the failure, we see the potential, right? As mothers, and Jamila could probably attest to this. And sometimes we want to protect our kids from the failure, but I think your mom was so intuitively guided and intellectually aware, given her profession, and then spiritually grounded, knowing that these lessons were very necessary lessons for you, and that you just needed to be held in that sacred space of love and prayer and devotion. So when you speak, there is such a beautiful lightness of acceptance and non-attachment, and it's not only of the good things. I'm hearing a version of you saying there are always going to be darkness or dark periods and difficult moments or challenges and obstacles along the way, but it will not be what will consume me, and that I'll be okay with feeling through it. But I have tools at my disposal, my devotion, my faith. I have people in my life to be able to rely on that. Now, let's ask this question, and especially for those, it's a difficult time of year for many people. It might be a festive season that we are in, but for many people out there, this is a lonely, isolated period. And depression, and when those thoughts run away with you, it's very difficult for people not to find a way through it.
Yeah.
And it's also, you feel the shame attached to those thoughts. So you end up isolating. Just this
Yeah.
week, I told a very dear friend, Aya, that don't not allow, she was apologizing for
Yeah.
feeling the way that she was. And I said, no, feel through it. And
Mm.
as we always say on this segment, feel it to heal it,
Yeah.
right? So, what do people do that don't have someone that they can
Mm.
rely on, or a support, or their faith is crumbled somewhat? What
Yeah.
would you guide them to do?
Thank you for that question. Very powerful question. I
Mm.
hope my answer will assist people because there are a lot of people, especially during this time, who go through
Yeah,
that. And I'm going to be honest, I even went through that myself, even with the support that I had, where
yeah,
during Christmas periods, so usually during Christmas periods, a lot of people, especially in Black homes, go back to the rural areas where home is, and they celebrate
mm,
Christmas. It's love. It's joy. It's just a joyous time for everybody. There was a period, even during the unemployment, where my mom and everyone in family used to go home to Queenstown, and I used to stay behind intentionally. You exactly what you were saying, Anissa, where you want to isolate yourself because you're going through a lot of feelings, and you also start overthinking things on a very weird egotistical level, where you're like, well, so and so has a job, right? They have power in whatever that job is, and they never ask for my CV. That's the ego talking now. And now they want me to go spend Christmas with them. No, I'm not doing that. So again, with the name of the segment, Grudge, you start having grudges that are unfounded, but in your head they make sense, and then you start living in that, and then you isolate yourself, and you're like, I'm not joining those people. Those people don't care about me. And then you stew in that anger, and it's very toxic. It's literally like a cancer where it infects every single part of your body and every part of your spirit. And then that behavior manifests itself when you start talking to people and you treat people in an odd way and people don't know why you're being like that. And I would say, I think you need to learn to love yourself. Um, Learn to love who you are, not just physical, but your nuances, your the way you think. Don't feel like you're saying, don't feel guilty that you feel down in the dumps, that you are feeling those negative feelings, because you have to process them. There's a word I learned from one of the people I do performance management with, catharsis. So working through processing those feelings, processing the emotions that you feel, because if you keep running away from them, they're always going to be there. You have to deal with them at some point. And it's easy for me to say that, but there are things that I practice to show that I love myself. And again, the loving yourself takes you back to gratitude, right? So I usually, it's a thing that I used to do end of the year, where you have one page where you write down the things that you don't like, the things that you can't change, that you're not happy about in your life, right? And then on the other page, you write things that are there. You can't change them as well, but you have to learn to accept. So if I think, yo, Aya's got a big round head, that's there. It's not going to change, right? Write it down on the piece of paper. All the negative things and all the things you can't change, you write them on one piece of paper. The one that has the negatives, you take it, you ball it up, you burn it, throw it away. In a way, you're trying to process, but there's nothing I can do about this. Let me try and remove these negative feelings towards these things. Because even if I focus on it, I cannot change it, even though it's negative or whatever. And then all the positive things that are either happening in your life or the positive things you like about yourself, look at them. When you see something that's written down, it's a completely kind of different thing. It's what you were speaking about in your last session with pen and paper, right? When you write something down and you can see it, you can touch it, you can use the five senses, you process it completely different. And when you keep that piece of paper and you look at it, but actually, I'm going to have to learn to love that I have a round head. I'm going to have to learn to love that I'm a person who has patience, right? Even though I'm alone, whenever I'm with people, I practice patience. I'm kind. I'm so, whatever the positive things are about you. And you have to, sometimes it's hard because you have to kind of search within yourself about what am I actually good at? What are the things that I am positive with? And there'll be times where people are like, I am not good at anything. But if you look deeply and if you think about your day to day, think about even if you don't have people around you, there will always be someone who imparts something positive in you. And if you amplify the positivity, you start seeing, hey, actually, I am a patient person. I am a generous person, even though sometimes I feel like I don't have a lot of things. And the more you focus on that, the bigger those things grow. And you start being thankful that you are like that, because you will meet people who are not like you. And trying to amplify yourself in those positive things will increase the self-love. And when the self-love is increased, you move away from the dark hole. If you're in a dark hole, you move away from isolation, because the more you focus on something, the more you'll start hearing. But hey, man, Aya is a patient person, actually. Same as, okay, I want to buy a red car. You're going to start seeing red cars everywhere because your focus is there. So I think it's about self-love. It's about focusing on the positive things you can do, because you yourself are unique. I mean, your fingerprint is unique to show how amazing God is. God has made us. There's millions of people on this earth, but every single person is unique. And then when you start kind of delving deeper into that, you start discovering your physical gifts, you start discovering your spiritual gifts, which are bigger than. Now those things become bigger than you, because when you have those gifts, then you move towards servitude. You start serving people with those gifts to make their lives better, to enhance their quality of life, or whatever it is that your calling is, because your calling is always linked to your spiritual gifts. I hope I just spoke about my personal experience in terms of how I feel about that.
Jamila, over to you. I mean, like you, I'm mesmerized. I can listen to you for hours, Aya.
Absolutely, can. Aya, you were unemployed for 5 years, and today you're multiplying capacity across industries. Your leadership style leans into people development. From what I've read of you and heard of you, Propela Health and FunHouse Digital have deep, deep roots in um, underserved and rural communities. What need or pain did you see that compelled you to become the solution?
Thank you for your question. So it always goes back to the unemployment, as you have mentioned, Jamila. Uh, my unemployment back then was like, why am I going through this? And back then I didn't have the tools. And even with my mentor was not really fully. I think she probably wanted me to stay at Forte and be one of her junior lecturers and then continue that path, but she never imposed it, which was absolutely fantastic because she used to tell me, apply, apply, apply. I didn't have the tools. I used to just apply with the same CV everywhere. And I think that's something a lot of people do. And I would like to change people's kind of method of I know as South Africa we're going through unemployment. It's an absolute huge thing. It's not something we can kind of combat and finish and win in a year or 2 years, but there are methods to the madness, right? Um, and even in that unemployment, even through that struggle, I think God was telling me, but you're going to help people to never go through the things that you are going through right now, right? Help people to know what to do with their CVs. Help people to be able to articulate themselves, not just via a nice CV, and then when they start speaking, it's like the two things don't align. So I do believe one of the things that I was tasked for on this earth was to assist people with unemployment. And I think the stars aligned because my brother Vuyo had started a company, and as he pivoted, he was like, look, let's get into recruitment. It's something you kind of have done with DSK. And then we kind of joined together to form Propela, it started out as recruitment, and now it's merged into kind of nursing, staffing, recruitment, and what helping people. Let's get people off the streets. Let's get people to get paid meaningful work. Let's get people to change the destinies of their families, right? I speak about destiny a lot because I believe it's a thing. And I do believe that a higher power, it doesn't have to be God. If you don't believe in God and Jesus Christ, the higher power always has people's destinies attached to you. And if you're not going to be the person who's going to be able to help people, there will be someone else. There will always be someone else tasked to help people. And you will always get that thing in you with your gifts to say no, and your struggles, your gifts, your struggles. You've gone through this. Let's make sure other people don't go through this in the same way. Let's make sure that no one is unemployed for 5 years, right? In your umbrella. So with those things, and with kind of the stars aligning and starting the things that I'd started, I do believe it's the pain of the failure that's kind of pushed me on to be like, no, man, I don't want anyone else to go through something like this, even if it's a friend, even if it's a stranger. And I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn. I know I'm not really quick at answering, but a lot of people ask for assistance or whatever. And I do understand that it's another conversation for another day, Anissa, because it's something I learned from you, in that sometimes you undercharge yourself, you underprice yourself or undercost, but the feeling of no, man, I can help this person now, instead of putting a blockade over it, right? And I feel good about it, but again, you have to kind of balance. But that didn't put food on the table. But you're like, okay, but
Yeah.
it did put spiritual food on someone else's table. So I kind of deal with that way. I'm still not perfect with that, but yeah.
That's another question that I want to ask you, because you have the simultaneous leadership, right? With the three roles, and you have one purpose. But you're running operations at DSK. You're the co-founder of the Health Pipeline Initiative, and then you've got the digital youth platform. What personal operating system or a mindset that you may have allowed you to lead simultaneously without losing yourself? Because that's a lot that you're doing, right? And also, and both Anissa and I are people pleasers, right? When do
Me
you
too.
know how to say yes, and when do you know how to say no, and when do you know how to say not yet? How do you find that balance?
Uh, Thank you for that question. I'm going to start with the people pleaser one because I do believe I am, and I still haven't figured it out. I'm not even going to lie to you. So much so that I've got into an unhealthy habit of saying not now. instead of saying no, I can't do
Yeah.
this at the moment. Lately, especially this year, now that I started the third one, which is my personal one, FunHouse Digital, I have kind of started to establish certain boundaries because I always think back, but no, man, what I'm doing is linked to the kids, and the kids kind of need this. If I do this, I'm taking away from the kids. I'm taking
Mm.
away from Propela Health. So now I kind of view it as I don't want to take away from there. So I can't help you at the moment. When I have capacity, maybe I'll help you later down the line. Which is again, it's not a very healthy way to kind of live because you pile up so many things for later,
Correct.
and then you realize you're like this thing is these three are still continuing, they'll never stop, and now I've got a
Yes.
pile up of things. I promise people a lot of things, and I always like to live up to my promises, and you feel honestly really bad when you can't live up to something, and then someone says, no man, I missed the window of you assisting me, but it's fine anyway. And someone will say it's fine, but it's probably not fine.
Mm.
So that's something I honestly I'm still learning. Hopefully, as you guys are doing your podcasts, I will learn something new because you guys do touch on the subject a lot. And before I just to answer your previous question on working on all three and what compels me to keep going, it's fully Anissa's fault. It's Anissa's fault because one of the first I think session I ever watched of the podcast was Anissa with Alan Folk, and he was one of Vuyo's mentors. Well, in the program that he was in, like a coach of sorts in terms of business. So I kind of met him there. And then I saw that he was hosting something with Anissa. So I joined because of him. And then I kind of followed as Anissa kept doing the sessions. You guys were speaking about side hustles, right? So you guys called them slays on the day, I think. I had been kind of thinking about starting the Funhouse Digital, which is for kids, for a long time, like a year. And then as soon as that session happened and you guys were kind of talking through like having side hustles and not feeling guilty with doing multiple things, as you had mentioned, Jamila, society says like when you're doing a lot of things, yo, this person is confused, this person doesn't know what they want in life, right? And they take you as confused, they take you as confused in everyday life. And when Anissa and Ellen were kind of speaking through it, but actually it's not confusion, it's a conviction, but I can do this and I can make a difference here, but I don't want to make a difference in one place. I have the capacity to make a difference here and here as well. So as soon as like I listened to that session, I was like, no, man, I've been feeling guilty about wanting to do something else. Now I don't anymore. And I kind of started it. And then it kind of gained momentum when I started seeing that I'm actually making a difference, even with so the third one is one I work on my own Funhouse Digital. Uh, Literally 2 weeks ago, before holiday started, there were kids in grade 4 who were touching a laptop for the first time ever. So I use my own personal laptops for these things. I'm trying to raise funds. I'll speak about that later. So they were touching a laptop for the first time. So I'm like, okay, do this. I was just teaching them entry level coding, and they're too scared to touch it, right? So they're like, please do it for me. I'll instruct you. So I do that. And then the next session, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. You're going to touch the laptop and I'm client on your own. And then the feeling you get like when they do something and they get it correct, it's priceless. It's worth me doing a million things, even if I'm tired, just to get that feeling, because you know that you've just planted a seed in someone's life. Even if they don't remember me, they'll always remember the experience of touching a laptop for the first time. And maybe in 10 years' time, they'll become IT graduates, right? And when you're an IT graduate, you live on a computer and you'll always remember the first day you touched a laptop, you touched the computer. And if I can do that without, I don't even want to be remembered, but I want my impact to be remembered, then to me, I'm happy.
I absolutely love that because abundance and prosperity doesn't need to be in a monetary form, right? And what I'm hearing you say that there's these three ventures, it requires time, it requires resources, it requires a lot more than just a monetary factor around it and the reward of money coming in, because you've changed one person's life in that household that may be the very first person that goes to university in that house, that sees possibilities. You could potentially also be changing the poverty mindset that they adopt because I'm coming from an underserved community. I'm never going to be worthy of anything more than that what I am born into. So, I mean, this is some powerful stuff. And as much as you made a very profound comment early on about not charging your worth, but you've contributed to someone else's spiritual, I think, table, you mentioned it to
Mm.
be. Um, and that is a priceless contribution. I always say that there's one particular um, client that I serve in. It's an MPO. It's in the food circular economy. It's not my highest paid, but it's the highest return for me, being able to see how they can serve their communities because their why is just so much bigger than themselves, even. And so that is humbling because you look at yourself, and I'm not saying I will always say charge your worth, charge what you're deserving of. And it requires us as entrepreneurs to walk away even if you know you can't afford to walk away. And I'm going to be honest, I always am on this segment. I've had to make some decisions for next year. If clients aren't going to pay my worth, what have I co created in teaching my clients how to treat me in the
Yeah.
shared value exchange
Yeah.
or the unbalanced value exchange? But when we come back to the servitude, that you can't put a price on because
Yeah.
the ripple effect of that is far reaching. They're not only now growing gardens for themselves, they're teaching
Mm.
people in their communities to grow gardens. Then, so there's a skills development, there is a solving for food, there's an educational solve there, there's access that they're creating. So it's far reaching. And I'm certainly not saying we must not explore a 80-20 principle where 80% you make sure that you do charge what you deserve to be paid. But that 20% aspect does have to be a pay it forward in some shape or form. And if we have a abundant mindset,
Mm.
we will feel abundant anyway. And there's one guy, I don't remember now his name, but there was a story about this guy that he was not doing well and he was struggling and
Mm.
struggling and for years struggling. And he went to Dr. Joe Dispenza. And after a session with him, he started to earn money and it came in
Mm.
abundance.
Yeah.
But he gave 95% of it away. And people couldn't understand. You were not surviving for most of your life. Now you're getting it, but you're giving it away. He said, because I need to know that there's more where that is coming from. So the more I give, the more I shall be receiving. So I
Yeah.
wanted to just share that with you, Aya. And I know we have only 3 minutes remaining and we could listen to you forever. I think that you need to do your own podcast or live stream or something. You are a phenomenal speaker and you are so articulate, and the wisdom nuggets coming from you has been so profound. And even though in the beginning, Jamila, he said, what have I got to share? And so your humility also shines through. So I want to just say thank you from my side of this experience with you. And it has been my second experience in a different context. And listening to your story again now, it's so beautiful, so empowering to listen to you.
Jamila,
You're
you're
on
on
mute, my
mute.
darling, Jamila.
Sorry about that. I share exactly those sentiments, Anissa. It has been just so beautiful to sit and listen to you. And like I said, I mean, I could have just sat quietly for the hour and listened to your story and how inspirational and motivational it is. And I mean, I think one thing that we must do is to commend you on, the work that you are doing and the lives that you are touching and the humility that you bring with it, more than anything. And I love the way that faith has shaped your life. And I love the fruits that have come from it. And I love your story, and your courage to start again, and the meaning that that would have, and the message that that would have to so many people out there, is to just not give up, but just to to pivot, and to see these new experiences that come into your life as something that's coming from the divine, right? Because it's leading you to where you are meant to be. It's leading you to meeting the people who need the fruits of the gifts that you can give to them, because that was imparted also by the divine, to be shared by you and through you. And I just find your story so inspiring and so positive, and I can't wait to keep in touch with you and to see what more you're going to bring. And like Anissa said, you have to start your own podcast. You have such a powerful story, and this needs to be shared with so many more people. So thank you so much for coming on. And they say that we leave the best for last, and you certainly have been one of the best left for last, for the end, to end the year off in. Um, what a great episode this was today.
Thank you so much. I don't know how much time we have. I think we've gone
Mm.
over the hour. So I'd like to honor you, Anissa and Jamila, because this platform is changing lives. I don't know if you realize the impact that you have. I mean, I'm just a guy who's based in rural Smithfield, and I do believe that these things happen not by chance, but because the universe wills it, God wills it. So that I listen to this means that you guys are probably reaching people you don't even expect to reach, and you guys are making a huge difference. I could be using this segment to speak about my own things, but honestly, I'll post about them on LinkedIn. I just want to honor both of you because the work that you guys are doing is absolutely fantastic, and keep it up, please. Don't lose strength. I know sometimes you'll be in Joburg traffic, or Anissa will be going through bad weather and the internet is fighting against you guys. Please keep it going. Don't lose strength. It's absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think Anissa might be a bit frozen.
Yes, I think she's.
Oh, there we go. She's
Oh,
back
she's
again.
back. Yeah.
Maybe not.
I am losing
Oh, there you go.
connectivity on my side. Can you hear me?
We
We
can
can.
now.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we can, Anissa.
Hello?
Okay, I think
Are you able
I
to hear
think
me?
We
yes,
can
yes.
hear you, but I don't think you can hear us.
Okay, so I'm struggling to hear everyone.
Okay, I think let's take this
Okay.
opportunity to
Jamila,
say
do you
thank
want to
you.
close out because I can't hear you at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. You've been an absolutely brilliant guest. We've thoroughly enjoyed this hour with you, and as per usual, it's just never enough time. But Aya, we do hope that you will come back again very soon and grace us with your presence and your stories and the experiences and your beautiful um, success stories. And you're doing such amazing work. Please continue on this path. We're really so very privileged to have you. So whoever, I mean, those of you that have not been able to join in, the repeat will be on the link, and we will see you same time, same place next week. I'll let you say goodbye one last time, and hopefully we see you soon.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I hope I
Bye
imparted
from my
some
side
knowledge.
as well.
Thank you very much, Nisa. I hope I imparted some knowledge. Just a quick one. I have a Back a Buddy campaign. Thank you to Back a Buddy for having that platform. I'll post about it in the comment section on LinkedIn. But thank
Okay.
you as well. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anissa, I think we can sign out now.
Yeah, thank you from my side. I don't know what's happening to my connectivity, but I'm just going to say thank you, Aya. It's been enlightening. Thank you for those that have joined and listened in and your comments. I'm sorry I didn't read this week. I was too mesmerized with Aya's humility and intellect and wisdom that he shared with us. So we'll see you again same time next week. And we normally do a debrief, but I think the connectivity is not going to allow it on my side. Aya, I will connect with you offline afterwards. Until next week, we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.